right, guys, welcome back to another 6610 video. We've got another video on sales AI agent buildouts. Today, we're going to be building a Salesforce LinkedIn profile enrichment tool, and we're not going to be using Agent Force. We're going to be building this out custom on the side using N8N. All right, so let's just dive right into it. So as always, guys, we're going to define out here our goals for the AI agent that we're going to build out here. So number one, our first goal is to connect to our Salesforce account. Then we're going to find the prospect's LinkedIn account because we will not have their LinkedIn account. And then we're going to get details about the LinkedIn profile. We're going to summarize it with ChatGPT. Then we're going to update the record in Salesforce, okay? So we got a couple important links as always. So first link we have here is the N8N platform. We're going to be using this one again because a lot of people seem to enjoy it. Great tool for workflow automation. You could sign up for it. Pricing is pretty good as well. We, of course, are going to use our friends over at Salesforce. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you already have a Salesforce account. So you're just going to need to be able to log into that. Then we're going to be using the platform.openai.com. So we're going to need to grab the API credentials for your ChatGPT/OpenAI integration. And I'll show you how to do that in the video here. And last but not least, we're going to be using a great tool called Appify. Appify is a tool that gives us sort of scraping capabilities in a nice, easy API format. They have many different scrapers for many different things. These are going to be our three main scrapers, or actors as they call them. So we're going to use the LinkedIn Mass People Profile Finder. We're going to have the LinkedIn Company Scraper. Then we're going to have the LinkedIn Profile Scraper as well in here. All right. So let's dive into it. First things first, let's grab our API keys from platform.openai.com. So you're going to go to the platform.openai.com site. You're going to hit at the top here the gear icon. Once you do that, you will have your API keys on the left side in the settings. You'll create a new API key. You could give it any name you see fit. You could select a project if you have one set up. If not, stick with the default. And for ease of use sake, you can keep the permissions on for all right now, but you can edit it to be read only or restricted as you see fit down the road. Other important component here. Make sure under the billing tab you have credits available. If you do not have a balance here, the API will not succeed. So we need to make sure we have a balance here. We're going to be using today the 4.0 mini model since it's the cheapest model and it's really cost effective for our needs right now. All right. Once we've grabbed that, we are ready to build out our sales AI agent in N8N. So I'm going to go to N8N. I'm going to hit create workflow. Let's just give this workflow here. What do we call it over here? Sales LinkedIn profile enrichment. I'm going to grab that. All right. So for this workflow that I'm going to be building out, I'm going to make it first trigger based on Salesforce. So I hit the plus sign here, go to Salesforce, and then I'm going to make it auto trigger when a contact is created. And then I'm going to pull that up here. So that comes up here. At the top here, it will ask you for your credentials. You most likely do not have this set up. So you're going to hit create new credentials. What this is going to do is going to show you a window that says connect my account. You'll click that button. A pop-up will appear with the ability to sign into Salesforce. Just sign into that and approve the permissions. And then when you come back into the N8N trigger node here, you'll be able to select your Salesforce account. For polling times, this is up to your discretion. I'm going to leave it every minute for right now for this demo. All right. So I'm going to do a fetch here test. So if you have a contact record in there, I created one and I'll show that here in a second. So I'm in my Salesforce account. I just have like a demo one that I set up here for the video purposes. If I come over here on the left, I have a contact record that I created. Marwan Aziz, account name is 6610. So we have our record here. That is matching what we have here in N8N, meaning we've grabbed the correct information, and we could further confirm this by looking at the ID number up here. and confirming that our ID number matches. So it ends in LJQAY, LJQAY. So we know we've gotten the right record here. So now that we've got our trigger node set up, we're going to actually have to, now we're actually going to get details about the contact, okay? So how we're going to do that is we're going to come back here and add a new node. We're going to select Salesforce again, and we're going to say contact. We're going to search contact. We're going to click get a contact. So once again, that first node is the trigger for the workflow. That trigger has essentially alerted us that there's a new contact. Now I need to get details about that contact. So with this new node here to get a contact, I'm going to go ahead and grab that ID that has come through from the trigger. And if I do that test step here, it will return me now a lot more details about the contact record, right? Such as the first name, last name, salutation, and account ID, right? Which is important to us. Once again, here we don't have the full account details. So we're going to go ahead and create a new node to actually get our account details. So I'm going to hit get an account on this new node. And this time I'm going to put my account ID in here. If I do test step, it is now going to return me my account name, which is 6610 here. All right. So get contact node got us the contact details. Then the get account node got us the account details based on what was associated on the contact record. Okay, great. Now that we've done that, we've essentially pulled in all of the data that we need from Salesforce to begin using our sales AI agent. So what we're going to do next is now start getting data about these folks. In this record here, I don't really have too much identifiable information, and I've done this on purpose for demo purposes because sometimes you do not have the full record, right? So we're going to go ahead here. We're going to add a new node. This time we're going to pick a HTTP request node. Okay. Now that we've done that, we're going to go back to Appify, and we're going to now use the LinkedIn Mass People Profile Finder, right? So how do we do this? This is, once you set this up once with Appify, fairly straightforward to use it many times over. All of the processes are going to be very similar, if not the same. First things first. On the left here, it will come with some default details. And I will reset to the default details for you guys to see. This is kind of what this actor comes with, right? So it is simulating doing a search for Michael Dell, the CEO of Dell Technologies, and then Chuck Robbins, the Cisco CEO, and trying to find their profile records. We're going to do a small test here with my details, the details that I have in my Salesforce record. And I'm just going to put in the name and the company name. I don't know what the role of this person is. So we're going to go ahead here and just hit save and start just to see what the output will come out to be. We're going to give it a second here. All right. So just like that, it has actually found a LinkedIn profile match. And if I go to LinkedIn here, you'll see that it actually found my profile record. And this is actually my profile record. And it was able to return for me the link, which is exactly what we need, right? So now that we've done that, it is time to go back and start doing the integration because now we know what to expect. So in the top right here, I'm going to go ahead and hit API endpoints. And there's a ton of different options you could choose from here. But for ease of use purposes, we're just going to do run actor synchronously and get data set items. So I'm going to go ahead here and hit the copy button. What that's going to do is going to get me a URL that includes my Appify actor URL as well as my API keys. So you do not have to put in your API keys here. Next up here, we're going to have to go to headers. And we're going to have to type in content type, and we're going to do application/JSON. So this is just to define out the data type of JSON that's going to be used throughout the API here. The other very important part with these APIs is ensuring that you have the right method type. So if I go back to here, I'll see the method type at the beginning. So sometimes it'll be get, sometimes it'll be post. These are kind of technical terms and define out how you're going to interact with an API. These kind of terms, you can research it, but at a high level, post means we're going to be getting and updating some data from an API. So I'm going to go ahead here, I'm going to hit post. And down here for send body, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add in a JSON object, right? And I'm going to specify my body to be using JSON. Now, if we go back here, Appify has a really great feature where instead of doing manual, we could just do JSON. And what JSON does is it essentially gives us an example input to what we're going to use in the API. So I'm going to go ahead here and I'm just going to throw in here my API. So my API here has my name, Marwan Aziz, and 6610, the company name, hard-coded. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these and we're going to fill them in with the variables that we got from the API, right? So if I come into my Salesforce node here, I have the name one. I'm going to go ahead and just drop that in here. And then I also have the company one as well here. So I'm going to go ahead, delete that. And I am going to put in here the company name. All right. So just like that, the result on the bottom here is showing a sample result. But this time, because we've used variables, they are dynamic. So whatever information comes in through Salesforce's API, it is dynamically being processed by this HTTP request and being placed in the JSON here. So we're going to go ahead now and hit test step, and hopefully we got this right here. And just like that, we now have an output that has found the LinkedIn profile URL based on these search parameters. Once again, that API has a lot of capabilities. It is capable of also including the role of the person if you have that. In this case, we do not, so we've omitted that piece of information, okay? So now that we've gotten the LinkedIn profile URL and we've identified it, it's now time to find out some details about that LinkedIn profile. So now we're going to go back to our actors and we're going to use the actor for mass LinkedIn profile scraper. This one says no cookies. Essentially what that means is there's many different methods that they scrape LinkedIn profiles with. They sometimes use cookies. This actor that I've selected here, I've selected it on purpose because it's a little bit easier for people to use. It does not require cookies, all right? So we're gonna go back here again to API endpoints, and we're gonna grab our synchronously actor run, paste that back in here, check our method, post. Once again, update our header. So it's gonna be content type, application/JSON. And just like we did on the other API, like I said, they're all very similar and straightforward on Appify, thankfully. I'm gonna go ahead here, hit JSON, and I'm gonna grab the sample one that we got here. So if I put that in here, so once again, it's hard-coded currently with the LinkedIn URL that was in that example, but because we've gotten our LinkedIn profile now from the API, we can just go ahead here and add this in to the API JSON body. And as you see there in the example, it's essentially pre-filled with my LinkedIn profile. So it's 100% dynamic. So we're going to hit test step here. And what this should be doing is getting us details about this specific LinkedIn profile. And just like that, it's returned to me the details about my LinkedIn profile, right? So I have my headline here, and if I look at my headline here, it is matching up exactly the same because it's essentially pulled that over, right? Brooklyn, New York, where we're based out of. All of my details are in here, even my about section. All right, which is what we're going to use to enrich our profile in Salesforce. Awesome. And now that we've done that, we could actually now grab details about the company from the LinkedIn profile as well. Because if you check back here, they're going to give us some valuable information. Number one, they're going to list out every single company record that has been created, but it will also provide us with, if I do a quick search here for company, and if I search for the company here, I'll be able to find the URL for the company profile here. And if I grab that now and put that into my Google tab here, it will pull up now the company profile. Because I'm on the admin account, it's pulled up the admin profile there right away, right? So we could use that to actually enrich our data even further, right? So I'm going to go ahead here, and now we're going to switch to, you guessed it, another actor. This time we're going to use the LinkedIn company profile scraper. Very similar process to all the other ones. I know you're probably thinking, am I watching this video on repeat? But no, the process is really that straightforward. We're going to go ahead here. We're going to do post, grabbed our URL. We're going to do send headers. We're going to do content type is application/JSON. And we're going to do send body. And we're going to do JSON. And then we're just going to grab our URL. Sorry, we actually have our URL already. So now we're going to just grab our JSON object, which is pretty straightforward here. We could hit expression here at the top just to make our lives a little bit easier, but we're going to go ahead and look for that company element that we had here. So here we go. Here's company link number 1. So you can search and grab, there's going to be many different company links in here. So if I do company link, you'll see that there's a couple different company links that get returned depending on the experience. If you get the one in the, what we call the array of experiences, and it's in the 0 position, aka the first one, that's most likely going to be the latest position, versus if you get number 4, it's going to be an older one. But through this, you know, the sky's the limit, right? You could grab all of their history and store that in your CRM if you wanted to, right? The world is your oyster. All right. So we're going to go ahead now and hit test step. And what this should do is get us details about company link 1 here, which is the 6610 profile. And we're just going to wait for that to run here for a second. All right. And just like that, we have our API results. So what it's returned to us: company location, company description, employee data, a lot of valuable data that you can take back to your CRM. All right. So now that we've got that data, let's just do a quick recap on what we've gathered so far. Number 1, we've set up our trigger to create a new contact record that is triggered every time a new contact is created in Salesforce. Then we got details about the contact and the account in our third node here. Then we found the LinkedIn profile URL because we didn't have it. And we enriched that URL and grabbed the details about the individual as well as his latest company. All right, now that we've done that, let's start using AI to summarize for us what we found. All right, so we're going to go ahead here and add a new node. We're going to add an advanced AI node. We're just going to use a basic LLM chain. We don't really need anything more than that. So what we're going to do then is define below, rather than use the chat, and we're going to just type in here, using the company and profile description, give me a short 5-sentence summary about what this prospect does. All right. And then here we're just going to say prospect profile description. And we're just going to go ahead and grab our API response object of about for the LinkedIn here. And then we're going to add in here company profile description. And we're just going to grab our company description. And now that we've defined out our prompt, we're going to have to select our model. This is where we're going to use the OpenAI API keys that we grabbed earlier. So most likely at the top here, you do not have your credential set up. So you're just going to go ahead, hit create new credential, and fill in that information that you got from platform.openai.com. And what you're going to do here is select the model. For our purposes, I think 4.0 Mini will work just fine, but feel free to mess with this as you see fit. Right now, 4.0 Mini is the most cost-effective model. However, I think it does more than an adequate job for this kind of work. So I'm going to go back now and I'm going to just run a test to see what gets spit back at us from OpenAI. And just like that, it's given us a description about what this company does in 5 sentences or less. So now that we've gotten that, we're now going to update our Salesforce record with our latest findings. So we can go ahead here into Salesforce, and this time we're going to do update a contact. So we're going to, number one, pick the update operation, and we're going to need the contact ID. So what we'll do here is just look for our initial output that came through, which is our contact here and the ID. So we're going to go ahead and just drag that in here. Then we're going to do add field. And this is where you get to run a little wild. You can update whatever you see fit. In this example here, I'm just going to update the description. And in the description, I'm going to use that output that came through from ChatGPT. And I'm also going to update the title field as well. And because now I know the title of this person from the LinkedIn profile, I can get its details. So if I go to my HTTP request here, have his title as well. So I'm going to go ahead and update that. And if you have fields for LinkedIn profile or company profile, etc., you can fill that in as you see fit. But for this demo, I just put together description and title, but the process to add any field should be pretty self-explanatory. And we're here to help if you do need any help. So feel free to drop a comment and I will give you some guidance on that anytime. So now we're going to go ahead and hit test step. And we've gotten a success message. So if we go back to our contact record here and hit a refresh, we now have our title field filled in, and we have that description that ChatGPT created for us directly inputted into the correct contact record. And just like that, guys, we have built out a sales AI agent that can enrich any Salesforce record based on LinkedIn details that it finds through APIs and provides an accurate description of what they do. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more you're capable of doing with this utility, but this is just one example of what's possible. With that said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, and please give us a like. It would be super helpful. Good luck out there.